So this next one should be quite interesting actually, because it happened by chance over Instagram last weekend, I think it was. And basically what I'm going to do is talk about sales and why this I think is quite important, but there are some really easy, quick wins that you can do which will make a real difference that actually we did this week with basically one of the guys I'm going to shout out. But actually, so the whole point of sales, people think is obvious. Obviously, it's how do you drive revenue and interest into a business? Yes, marketing falls under that same element of building brand awareness and that kind of thing as well. But at a certain point, you need to reach out and actually ask for a sale. Say hello, ask if there's anything you can do to help, and really make sure that the person that you're targeting even understands what it is that you do. So when it then comes to actually implementing this for a business, so you then have sales training, we have two different sides to it. One, you have the theory, and within the roadmap, we have 3 whole chapters on sales. Everything from sales prospecting, how to do it well, who to approach, how to approach them, how to prep your calls, that kind of thing. You have the sales presentation and meetings about how you need to be sharp and enthusiastic and passionate about what you do and really understand the client's pain points and that kind of thing. But then also all of the stuff like listening and high value technical selling, where basically you listen to the buyer and really kind of understand their pain points, develop them in their own minds, and actually make sure that they fully understand the impact of non-action and therefore the value of your benefit. The point is there is tons of theory that you can really go into on sales, which is fantastic. But in terms of actually when you come to make a change, the thing that business owners actually want and need is money in the bank. So you want pounds and pence and dollars and renminbi and whichever. You want currency and you want trade. That's what you want. The issue you often have with training in particular is that you have theory, which is the stuff we teach on the course, which is actually how to be more efficient, how to approach people, what all the theory says, how to do it well, etc. But then the most important thing is the actual practice. So my point here is you can actually do all the theory in the world, read all the books on strategy, have fantastic marketing, but unless you actually kind of reach out to people and ask for the sale and actually approach people, you're kind of wasting your time. And I think for a lot of people, we need to find a balance where you teach the basic theory so people are upskilled and they get to a point where they kind of know what they're doing. They then actually start to approach people, learn, see what works, see what doesn't work. And again, different approaches for different types of people. Some people like to do online and on the phone. Some people love to do it in person. Some people like by Snapchat or voice message or video or whichever. So it's almost finding what works for you. But the big thing again is actually understanding who is it that you're targeting and how do they like to be approached. One of my clients is a recruitment firm, and something that we talked about is that if you're approaching the CEO, MD, HR director, there's a certain approach that you might take. But actually, if you're approaching a shift manager on a production line who manages 10 minimum paid staff at 2 a.m. on in an industrial estate, they're probably not going to be on LinkedIn, and they're going to be less receptive to certain forms of approach than others. But the point is you have to kind of go through this process and kind of learn to see what works. But almost the theory is useless unless you actually go out and practice it and approach people. And then what you really want to do is do that to learn and then keep iterating in terms of understand the basics, go out, approach people, see what works for you, what doesn't work, what your clients respond to, what do they not. Read up on the theory and keep working like this. It's very easy to actually just well-intentioned, like pushing your stuff and approaching a lot of different people. But actually, unless you're doing it in the right way, you're going to struggle to kind of have success. So the reason why I wanted to reach out to this, that it was on, I think it was the Roadmap MBA Instagram last weekend. You have Harjit Singh, who's a chap based in India, approached me because he wanted to approach me to do with sales, marketing and stuff to basically provide that service to me. And what was quite interesting, it was that, so we swapped messages kind of over the week. So he messaged me to tell me that he really appreciated what we were trying to do with the roadmap and he thought there was a great fit for it, and again for people in India. And that got me talking, which was really good. But then what was quite interesting was that, and we had a chat about this, so he's cool. I said I was going to mention it, but actually then he went into quite a hard sell in terms of would I buy his product or service. And the point I made is that I am someone who does buy that product or service, and therefore I've been qualified, so I'm still worth him talking to, but I'm not ready right now. And then over the course of the next hour or so, he did kind of keep chasing me and leaving me voice messages just to ask if I could set up a call with other people. And what was really interesting is that we swapped some messages, and I gave him some tips and advice just to do with possible ways to maybe change his approach for future people. And he did, and actually he messaged me back yesterday to say that it really worked with other people, and that as simple as it was to start the interaction, to talk to people, get to know them, get to respond, and especially if someone is passionate about their business as I am about the roadmap, they're probably going to respond to you. And then actually the slight change to basically say to them, look, we do this product or service, we're really good at it. If you ever need it, please just keep us in mind, and I'd love to stay in touch. And what you're doing there is giving power back to the buyer. You're making them aware of what they can buy, but it's not a pushy sell that kind of puts you off. And actually what he said is actually just changing his approach to be that more receptive partner, just to offer it as as an option for people to choose. His success rate kind of went through the roof. And what was really interesting is just a tiny little steer for his whole business, can make a massive kind of difference. And then, yes, there was some other stuff that we said that we would look at as well, just in terms of actually improving the website and the message and what they get across to build trust when they check them out. Because again, it's the classic thing that when someone a prep messages you, I always check out the website, I always check out all the content. And if it's not quite good enough, you're probably not going to proceed with it, or you're not going to follow up. But it's that balance of, rather than just ram your product or service down someone's throat, ask them. Yes, it's great to actually let them know what you do should they wish to buy it, but play the long game. You'll actually end up with a lot more sales, and I think it'll work much better for you. And just as some practical feedback from someone that's got a very tough gig, which is long distance sales for a fairly commoditized kind of product, and trying to get people to respond over Instagram. But the point is, he messaged back to say, actually, it really worked. And I just thought it was an interesting thing that I wanted to talk about today.